it's a hobby which is rewarding. In fact, it's one of the hobbies that is most rewarding. If you say monetary-wise, it is really rewarding. And you've only got to look at the stuff that is actually in a British museum.
It is vital that our heritage is protected, and metal detectorists can help in many ways. Relationships between detectorists and archaeologists have improved over recent years, and now detectorists are responsible for the discovery of many important sites. Most museums have metal objects on display that were found by detectorists.
We've got quite a wide range, as any historic museum has. The main bulk of the collection is archaeology, so everything from the earliest human occupation about 300,000 years ago right up to the 1750s, 1800s. But we've also got collections of natural history, stuffed birds, birds' eggs, ethnographic material, arms and armour collection, so quite a diverse collection overall.
Don't be frightened to report your finds. You won't lose them, and you will be helping to preserve our history for everyone to enjoy.
The main contributions we have is through the Treasure Act. As Lincolnshire being a huge agricultural county, we do get a lot of treasure finds being declared, mostly by metal detectorists. But we do also see a lot of metal detecting finds coming in, and when nice finds are coming in, yes, we do certainly acquire from detector finds. We do get a huge number of treasure finds every year. They're items that have to be reported legally. We have a special case in the museum devoted to treasure finds, showing our latest purchase, which is what this little pendant is here. It's unusual. It's a 7th century Anglo-Saxon pendant, gold and garnet, but it's been made using a 5th century garnet inlay reused in the 7th century. And this little fish scale decoration that you can see in it is very rare. It's only the 3rd example that we know of in Europe. So we have some amazing finds coming up through the treasure process that the museum is delighted to be able to show to the public. It's very important that the objects end up in museums. It's easy for people to think that the glass cases they see when they visit museum is all the museum's about, when in reality there are many tens of thousands of objects behind the scenes that are just as important. The main museum's job isn't just to show things to people, it's to preserve them for the future, for future generations. So the material is preserved when it's in a museum. It's a simple fact. This is a fantastically rare find. This is the material associated with the burial of an Anglo-Saxon travelling metal worker. We don't have his skeleton, unfortunately. The soils that preserve the material remain so well, unfortunately dissolve the bones, but it's the only one we have in England at the moment of the complete burial goods of all his tools and his equipment with him. So we've got things such as little travelling anvils, hammers, potentially even an early soldering iron that he had with him when he was moving around, and then all of his scrap material. He seems to have been a bit of a hoarder. All these little bits of bronze and glass he's kept with him, presumably just so that they might come in handy one day. He's hung on to them. And a fantastic little item, a little bell. There was an Anglo-Saxon law that said if you strayed off the main path when you were a stranger in an area, you could be killed as a thief, a murderer, or whatever. So you had to make your presence known. So we have this fantastic image of this travelling smith, wandering around Lincolnshire, not knowing where he was, and ringing his bell frantically to make sure nobody stuck an arrow in him for being up to no good. So it's a fantastically human story that we've got from the grave. The Portable Antiquities Scheme has been running since 1997, which is a voluntary scheme for finders of all archaeological material, not just metal detectorists, but obviously metal detecting finds make up a huge percentage of what's happening, and it basically exists to record the finds that would otherwise go unnoticed, and it's rapidly changing the picture we have of archaeology. Many finds that aren't being recorded by the Treasure Scheme might not be seen by museums, are being put onto a public database, and it really is radically altering the picture of archaeology, especially in Lincolnshire. Roman villas and temple sites have been discovered that we just never had any knowledge of their existence before.
I think it's very important to work alongside the final liaison officers and your local museum and conservation people at the museum. You are only custodians of what you find. This is for our future generation, Instead of seeing them in the books, you can see them in the glass cases. Work with them, they're doing a fantastic job. They have now built the bridges between archaeology and metal detecting. It's been a big battle, and now we're slowly making grounds and working together.
The Portable Antiquities Scheme was set up to record archaeological finds found by members of the public. Now we'll record most things up to about 300 years ago, so that's sort of our cut-off point, is around about 1700 AD. Each county has its own finds liaison officer who's primarily responsible to go out and look at the finds which people are making in that relevant county. We do actually record finds from other people's counties as well. For instance, some detectorists like to go to other counties to detect, and we'll quite happily record those finds too. If you found something which you think is rather interesting, then do bring it into your finds liaison officer. Normally, if you've already dug it up, we can have a look at it there. If it's still in situ, we'll be more than happy to go out and have a look at it and assess it and see if it needs any conservation and so on. But yeah, please do bring your finds into us. Every find that comes out of the soil has the ability to tell us something new about the past. So we're quite keen to make sure that every find is recorded in a systematic way so that we can use that data to research the finds. Finds that come into us will be written up and photographed and stored long term. We record all the finds onto our database, which is at finds.org.uk. All of that data will then be passed on to the historic environment records so that it's preserved for long term, and it's incorporated with other types of evidence such as aerial photographs and field walking records, excavations and so on. We've had quite a few really important new sites come through. Some sites we already know about, and detectorists have just brought more evidence into the scheme, which is brilliant. But some sites, near Sleaford in particular, have been absolutely fantastic. They've brought new evidence to light and telling us new things which we never knew before. I would say that most of our records do come from people who found objects by metal detecting, although quite a number do come from gardeners and builders and so on. So metal detecting is really making a huge difference to our understanding of the past.
The National Council always recommends that people inform the finds liaison officer of their finds, although it's not compulsory. We do recommend that they do report their finds and work with their local FLO so that a picture can be built up, wherever they are detecting, of what is actually being found on that land.
Scheduled monuments are monuments which are of national importance, and as such they're protected by law. So you're not allowed to metal detect on them unless you have a licence. Normally you'll be able to see on the ground where the scheduled monument is. Sometimes it's fenced off and sometimes it has notices, but it's not always the case, so do be careful. Sometimes it's just a grass field. So the best thing to do is to contact your local historic environment records office, and they'll be able to tell you whether it's protected or not. It's important that these sites are not interfered with because, as I say, they're of national importance, and so if people remove evidence from them, that's less we've got to understand about the site.